Let's start our class with a little warm-up. I'm gonna introduce you to your new relatives and friends. Let's look at this card. You guys have it also in attachment. Make sure you printed it so you can work with it while we are going over the material. Over here on this card, we have your new friends and relatives. We have your сосед Борис, брат Иван, друг Антон, кузен Максим, соседка Лена, сестра Рита, подруга Наташа и кузина Саша. Let's see who are they. Сосед and соседка are your neighbors. Сосед in Russian is literally co-sitter. Сидеть is to sit. Back in Soviet times, we would have people living in 3-bedroom apartments, and you would have one family in each room, so there were a lot of people, but kitchens were also really big, so you would sit with your neighbors in the kitchen waiting for your turn to cook or to eat. So as a result, you have сосед, co-sitter, male co-sitter, and соседка, female co-sitter. Now next one is your brat and сестра. You guys know these characters. Then you have your друг. Друг is a friend in Russian, and you would think that female friend would be друга, but no, it's actually подруга. Prefix pa in Russian, it's spelled po, is used for complete actions. So for mnemonic device for you is this. For girls, it's much harder to become friends. So подруга is your true friend who you took some time to become friends with, and now you're friends. So you have a regular друг for male friend and подруга for female friend. And over here we have two foreign words, which is кузен and кузина. It's not true cousin in Russian, but it's a cousin for foreign countries, like you would see it in French books and English books translated to Russian. All right, so now let's play a game. Look at this card on your table, and I'm gonna show you a different picture on my end, and I will ask you, кто это? Who is this? Let's pretend that there's investigation going in your apartment complex, because in Russia we all live in apartments. Let's pretend that you live in an apartment in Russia and there is an investigator, and he comes over and he's asking you, who is this person? And all of these guys are your friends and family, so you need to protect them, and you need to say, this is my cousin, he's a good guy, don't suspect him in anything. The detective is looking for a bandit and for mafiosi. So if I'm showing you this kind of card, you would say, oh, that's my neighbor Boris, he is good. And then if you end up seeing this card, then you would say, this is mafiosi. Like, I don't know this guy on mafiosi. So let's practice. Let's practice. I will show you this card and I would say, кто это? What would you tell the detective? And the correct answer is, это мой сосед Борис. Это мой сосед Борис, my neighbor Boris. All right. Now, remember in a previous class we learned gender for мой and моя. So you know that if it's a male neighbor, then it's going to be мой. If it's a female neighbor or any feminine noun ending with a, it's going to be моя. So if you're working with сосед, брат, друг or кузен, it's going to be мой. If you're working with соседка, сестра, подруга, кузина, it's going to be моя. All right. Now let's test it out. If I show you this picture and say, кто это? What would you say? That's right. You would say, это моя соседка Лена. Очень хорошо. Now, next one is, кто это? Ага. Это мой брат Иван. Did you get the same answer? Очень хорошо. Next one is кто это? Это моя сестра Рита. Это моя сестра Рита. Кто это? Это мой друг Антон. Кто это? Yes, это бандит. Это бандит. Make sure you don't say мой with it, because you don't know that bandit. That's not your bandit. Or even if it's your bandit, don't tell detective about it, okay? Кто это? Это моя подруга Наташа. Кто это? Это моя кузина Саша. Кто это? Это мафиози. Мафиози. And the last one. Кто это? Это мой кузен Максим. If you guys got the same answers, good job. If not, you can practice one more time and just polish that knowledge of мой and моя. We are going to use this a lot in this class. See you in the next part. Today we're going to talk about locative case. In English, you express locative case using in. For example, if you're in the bank, you would put in this phrase. So let's write it down. In the bank. Okay? So the main part is in. Now, in Russian, we do not have word order in a sentence. You can put subject, object, or verb anywhere you want in a sentence. As a result, we try to capture our locative case from both sides. So instead of having just in up front, we would have something, we would have a preposition in front of the word, and we would have ending to support that case. Let's look at it. If you're trying to say in the bank in Russian, you would say в банке. В банке. В банке. And this will mean in the bank. So both of these parts means in. They represent in. It's very important to say both of them. If you don't pronounce the ending, it will be a different case and it would confuse Russian speakers. Bank, в банке. Now, let's apply this rule to states of United States. In Russian language, everything has a gender. Every word which ends with a consonant is a masculine word. So, for example, Kansas would be a masculine noun, and it would follow this rule. Now, let's do this. I will show you a state, and you will have to tell me how do you say in that state. And we will use я. Я is I am, and then you would say I am in Kansas. The first state is Oregon. How do you say I'm in Oregon? Я в Орегоне. Next one is Kansas. How do you say I'm in Kansas? Я в Канзасе. Я в Канзасе. Next one is New York. How do you say I'm in New York? Я в Нью-Йорке. Я в Нью-Йорке. Next one is Texas. Actually, in Russian, we don't say Texas, we say Texas. So how would you say I am in Texas? Я в Техасе. Я в Техасе. Хорошо. Next one is Washington. How would you say I'm in Washington? Я в Вашингтоне. Я в Вашингтоне. Очень хорошо. And that is it for masculine nouns. Now, in Russian, we also have feminine nouns. Nouns which end with a or ya. For those nouns, the logic of this case is going to be slightly different. But don't worry, it's not too different. Mama or Alabama or Canada. In those situations, you would do this. I'm going to give you an example with Montana. In English, you would say in Montana. And this in will take care of everything. Now, in Russian, you have to capture the case from both sides. So in Russian, it would be v Montani. В Montani. So as you can see, the a disappears and it's replaced by e. And you have a v up front and e in the end. And this would mean in for feminine nouns. So for example, if I say Canada, how do you change it in Canada? How do you say I'm in Canada? В Канаде. В Канаде. Now let's look at the rest of the states and practice with feminine states. For example, you are in Nevada. How would you say that? You would say Я в Неваде. Я в Неваде. Then if you are in Arizona, how would you say that? You would say Я в Аризоне. Я в Аризоне. If you have, next one is Minnesota. How do you say I am in Minnesota? Я в Миннесоте. Я в Миннесоте. Okay. Next one is Nebraska. Я в Небраске. Я в Небраске. Next one is Montana. Я в Монтане. And the last one is Oklahoma. Я в Оклахоме. Очень хорошо. Good job, guys. Now let's do last part of this case. In Russian language, if the word is a foreign word, this is one condition, it's a foreign word, and if it ends with sounds o, ye, e, or some other weird, not common Russian sound, we do not touch those. So things as Santa Fe, cafe, Colorado, Ohio, and other guys which ends with o and ye, they would not change the ending. You would just add v in front of them. So if you want to say in Colorado, it would be v Colorado, and that is it. You would not change this last letter. You would have v Colorado, and it would mean in. Watch out for those words. They usually come to Russian from French, German, or English language. And that is pretty much it. Now let's practice. Go back to that card with your friends and relatives, and I'm going to show you a state, and I will ask you, where is your cousin or where is your brother? And you would tell me, my brother is in this state. We're going to build longer sentences. Question number 1. Где твой сосед Борис? And the answer is мой сосед Борис в Канзасе. Next one. Где мой брат Иван? Мой брат Иван в Нью-Йорке. Hold on, like this. В Нью-Йорке. Мой брат Иван в Нью-Йорке. Next one is где твой друг Антон? Где твой друг Антон? Where is he right now? And the answer is мой друг Антон в Техасе. Мой друг Антон в Техасе. Next one is Кузен Максим. Где твой кузен Максим? And the answer is мой кузен Максим в Вашингтоне. Вашингтоне. Next one is где твоя соседка Лена? And the answer is моя соседка Лена в Колорадо. Колорадо. Does not change in ending. Колорадо. Где твоя сестра Рита? Где твоя сестра Рита? Моя сестра Рита в Айдахо. Айдахо. This one is weird because we change the stress on it. So we don't say Idaho, we say Айдахо. Yeah, so if you hear that, it's Russians living in Idaho. Айдахо. Где твоя подруга Наташа? Моя подруга Наташа в Оклахоме. Где твоя кузина Саша? Моя кузина Саша в Калифорнии. Очень хорошо. Good job, guys.